Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are. My name is Dan.
And my name is Suzie, and together we're a Duzie, and we'd like to welcome you to Tuesday with Duzie. And this week, the focus is Embrace Your Passion. This is a part of our Relaunch Your Life course, Duzie course that we were talking about. So we want to welcome those of you who are in the room with us. Thank you so much for those who are there. And we want to invite you to put your name and where you're coming from today.
And if you want, you can put your bank account in there. You can put anything you want that might benefit us today.
Yeah, so just type in who's there, who's with us, so we can address you personally. And welcome everybody to Tuesday.
So this is part of the Relaunch Your Life 2020. And if you're coming in as a replay watcher, you can still type in some questions. We will get it. If you're in the room with us, we are so glad you're here. Type the questions. If it's a question you really want us to notice, push the button. We can see the circle and we can go right to that. Afterwards, we run through and look at if we missed anything, and we're sorry if we do. If it's something that we really have missed and you want us to talk about, type it in again.
And you can put it as a question or a comment. Yeah. If you put it in as a question, we get a red dot, and that makes sure we don't miss that one.
Right. And we want to give you a little more space today when we ask a question, just to give you time to think. Sometimes we have so much stuff going on that we just download it, and we want to be able to give some of the questions and pause a little bit. So don't think the audio has gone bad if they're silent for 10 seconds or so. We want to also give you a chance to process and not just hear.
And responses from you have told us as well that sometimes we're talking about something and then we go on to another subject, or we're showing you some pictures while you're thinking about it. Anytime you're thinking about any subject that we're talking about that's been in the course, that's in your life, we want to invite you to type it at any time. Thank you, Nikki, my Nikki girl. You gave me that pointer, and I think that's a good one. I also want to welcome Kathy Weller, who's coming in from the Gold Coast.
She's
Australia.
early morning.
I think 5 a.m. it's her time. Lynn Payne is coming in from the
She's
Netherlands.
She's in the evening.
Welcome. From Zwolle in the Netherlands. Nikki from Michigan.
Afternoon.
Yoaz is also in the Netherlands. Thank you very much. And I know there's a few more who signed up who might pop in here anytime.
Yeah.
So welcome to all of you who are there so far.
So we're going to be looking today at the whole idea of embracing your passion. It's connected to a course we've done for years called Passionality. Mm-hmm. The new course is going to come online. It's much bigger. It talks a lot more in depth of helping you discover those and also discover your anti-passion. That is coming. Hopefully within the next few weeks, that'll be coming. We'll keep you up to date on that. But what we want to do as we launch into today is find out where you're at. So we've written a poll, and you can see it there coming up on your screen. We would love to know in the course where you're at. If you haven't even started, it's okay. We just want to know a little bit who we're speaking to as far as where you are in the course as we head into it. So you got a few moments. We'll leave this up so we can see where you're at. It's about 50-50 split at the moment.
Yeah, so the top is you're up to date. You're in the midst of passion. And the middle one is that you're somewhere in the middle, and the bottom one is that you're just getting started or somewhere near the starting point. That just helps us understand where you're at, and it gives us a feel where we're coming from, so we know how to address you personally, which is what we love to do. We love to be specific to you.
Yeah. So thank you for putting those in there. We'll leave it up for a few moments.
At the moment, we've got 40%, 40%, and 20%. So thank you for making that vote. That's awesome. Oh, and
Tammy from
also
Africa.
Welcome Tammy from Africa, my sister Tammy. Woohoo!
So it'd be evening time there as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Welcome everybody. Now feel free in the chat to talk to each other, to respond to each other, to respond to us, because our goal in this time is to build community, to help us process what we've been going through together and relaunch your life, especially focused on passion. But we also want to help feed you. We want to eagle you a little bit. We want to feed you. We want to help you focus, but we also want to coach you to fly. And it's our prayer that during this time, you who are in the chat, you who are watching the webinar, you who are together with us, that you will also be a part of encouraging one another as the community is built.
I just had a talk with my mom and dad on the phone, and they watched the first one this morning. And one of the things they were asking is, so what's the main verse of today? And we'll have a lot of different verses, and normally they just come out as we're talking or a question happens, they come back to our attention. But overall, the verse that we're looking at for this entire course and every single module goes back to John 10:10, where Jesus says, I have come that you may have Zoe life, vibrant life, quality life, a life blessed by God here and now. And if we're just thinking of he's come that we someday will live in heaven, we're going to miss the whole reason he came. It's that we would live now. And actually what we're sharing with people when we're sharing our faith, we're sharing our life. And if we're not living fully alive, we got nothing to share. And so that's why this is so crucial as a foundation. We're going to be building on it, but that's really the verse, the core. Every day I'm probably looking at it along with a lot of other Zoe verses. But as we move forward here, just remember the reason Jesus came is that you would live fully alive.
And have that life to the full.
And it's interesting, if you look in Revelation chapter 21, you see the picture when we're all together in the new heaven and new earth. God actually says, and I come to live, Zoe, I come to live among you. Get that? We're living right now in a time where God wants us to live Zoe, but there's a time coming where his Zoe comes and lives among us. Like the Garden of Eden. It blows my mind.
Yeah, from Genesis to Revelation. And here we are right in the midst. I want to take a few moments and have us go back through where we've been so far in the course. And as we talked about, if you have any questions about any part of them, comments, emotional outbursts, parts that are helping you, that are giving you Zoe, that is a great reminder. If it was a good reminder for you, it's probably going to be to one of us as well. So we invite you to type in, and we do have an option down the bottom where you can put your hand up. We did that successfully this morning, and you can come in and share a story. You can share a question. That's very helpful.
Let me give you a little bit. We talked, Mark Knight is the one who came in, and we were interviewing him just live. He says, once you get into that screen, there's about 3 or 4 different screens you have to go through to test your microphone, to test your video, all this stuff. Don't stop. Keep pressing through that. And then once you get to the last bit, we'll see a little bar at the bottom of our screen that says you're online. And then we just push a button and you come on. We can't do anything until you go through all those steps. It doesn't allow us. And we hope today that we can have a little bit more face-to-face.
We'd love for one or some of you to be able to come on and join with us because we benefit from stories of each other. So this is where we've been so far in our course so far. We started with Zoe life.
And I've talked a little bit about Zoe. That's the reason Jesus came. That's what he wants us to do. We're salt and light, that people would have Zoe. And it's really being that person who lives fully alive.
And then our first week, our future self, and a reminder of that, this is where we're aiming for. And our first week was all about aim for Zoe. And the statement is, I am showing up. Ta-da! That's my version. Some of you are going to show up as in a quiet and more conservative, listening, supporting version. It doesn't matter. But we're showing up alive. And we say, like Jesus said, Dan just told us that verse from John 10:10. Jesus said, I have come that you may have life. And we go into the places and spaces where God gives us our sphere of influence, that we may bring Zoe life. Our Zoe life is a light, and it shines in the places where we go.
And all these are connected. The next future self we need to look at is the whole idea of intentionally landing the rhythms. And the future self would be that you are living a life, you are breathing, you are at work, you're at school, wherever you are, and you are intentionally growing that Zoe life through your rhythms. And so the whole idea is we learn this so that in the future, whether short or distant from now, you will be growing because of the rhythms you have chosen.
And then the next week, third week, was all about inhabiting our values. And that was the picture of the house. The house doesn't sit there empty. We go into those spaces and we make ourselves at home in there. And we strengthen our Zoe life as we inhabit our values. And those values, a few weeks back, we encouraged you to choose your top 3 values that you want to focus on during this month and potentially beyond as well. And as you inhabit those values, this strengthens the Zoe life that God's given you.
Then we move on to the whole community idea. I love the picture that's here of the tree, of the nest, of the eagle. The future self is basically, you would say, I am supported by my fully alive community. We live in that reality. Not we're always hoping someday, but we live in the reality that I am supported by my fully alive community. And like Suzie said, we love during this course to be eagles for you. And it's not something we take lightly. We really pray for you.
We love it.
And we didn't even think of it. People started saying, thanks for eagling me. And wow, what an honor that is.
Yes.
That we can be part of the ones supporting your fully alive community.
And this week, our future self is all about embracing our passion. And the future self is I am exhibiting. So I'm living fully alive now, my fully alive Zoe, as I embrace my passion. And this week is sort of a review of the whole Zoe concept. It's kind of a mixture of everything and every part that we've had so far. And it's about our passion. And we want to speak specifically today about being, desire, and strength, and specifically how those ones apply to your life. So I'm wondering, of those 5 areas so far, which is the one that's sticking to you the most, and what makes that stick to you?
What do you mean by stick? What do you mean by stick?
Well, for example, Zoe life for me is one that sticks very, very, very powerfully. But then last week, after we did week 4, then the whole idea of the community tree and the net community tree is something that stuck to me very powerfully. And I saw things through the lens of, people in my nest, eagle, tree of community where I belong. And so it stuck to me like that. So I wonder for you,
maybe just write that down.
Yeah, if you don't mind in the chat. So which one, was it aim for Zoe? Was it rhythms? Was it values? Was it community? Or is it passion? Which of those 5? If you don't mind, everybody just type in which one. And if you want, you can also write what makes that stick.
And while you're writing that, I'm going to go to my office and get the illustration for me of what's stuck. So I'll be right back.
Okay, Dan's going to do it. So we're here in our what we call CIA. This is our Courageous Imagination area. And we have Megan Morris, who just stopped over yesterday. She arrived. She came in by bus. Now, I posted on social media. This is hilarious. I posted on social media, or I think in our video of yesterday, Megan, she just came to us from England by bus. And Matt Taylor, our friend Matt Taylor, he said, I think that's hilarious that Megan came to you by bus because there's an ocean separating us. But she came from another part of America to us. But she was also just talking and processing with us about the passion and about how that's so important for her and how that's such a stickable concept for her.
So as you're writing down your stickables, I want to show you, I have this hanging in my office. Now bring it up really close. These are all connectors. Now, as you see, each of these, and it always reminds me when I'm thinking of connection, and that's the thing that's really stuck to me through this whole course is the connection. So here's a connector, and here's a connector. That one is bolted on there. And then there's this one that takes a little more time, but there's a connector as well.
Carabiner.
And here also different kinds of connectors. The one I want to really focus on is this one right here. All these have a place, and maybe in the future we'll begin talking about connections a little more. But this one here is really solid. this connects two things that normally we don't put together. So I'm gonna put it like this. Take a look at that. There, it's connecting. And Katie this morning was asking, okay, we connected community to value. We connected
values and
rhythms. We connected all that stuff. But how in the world does passion and the whole idea of having a passion profile, how does it connect to your values? And I stood there this morning and I was like, that's a great question. So I gave a little bit of an answer, but I think that the true connection is the connection that comes from this up here is your passion. And this is let's say your values. And the values, we hold on them, but as you grow, the values, they may change a little bit. They're not as strong as this, but hopefully your values are not like this that just come off and on at will. But the area of the passion that I think is the strongest connection to value is your desire. The desire area, your desire for others will always be strongly connected with your value for people. If you value people having good food, then that value will affect your desire, and the desire will affect your value. So they are very much connected, even though we talk about them in different ways. I don't see that you can separate, this is my desire for others, and this is the values I hold. They're really one and the same. They're linked. So I wanted to pull this off my wall because that was in my head, was running around today. And the connection is very, very strong. And because it's our desire, then that also affects our being. It also affects our strengths. And so that was just a little illustration I wanted to show you there.
Good job. Thank you. Well, Dan was showing, we got a few responses. I just want to read those out. Let's talk about them. Lynn, thank you. So far, rhythms has stuck with me, not only because I think it's a great idea that I could and will greatly benefit from, but also because I'm struggling with it. Thank you for that, Lynn. And I know, Lynn, you're in a new space. You've had a huge transition to a new school, a new church, a new people, a new country, and finding your rhythms takes some time. So thank you for you. It could and will, because you're aiming towards that, I hear. And I'd love to talk with you more about how that's going. Yeah. Kathy says, for me, the picture of the nest, eagle and tree really sticks as I love people and has me really working through who are my people, my eagle, but also who can I be eagles to also, and what's my community look like?
Yeah.
Can you talk for a second about two-way?
What is two-way?
Two-way in the community.
Go for it. I know what you're talking about.
Well, I think Kathy's speaking of it right there, because we've got our community tree and our nest and our eagle, having eagles, but also being eagles. And that's what Kathy's talking about. So I think two-way, that we are a place of belonging for people like the tree, but we also need a place to belong. We're in the nest with people and we provide that real close accountability and living life together. And we also need them to do it for us. We're doing it two ways.
When we moved back from the ship,
thank you, Kathy.
We were pretty desperate for community. And we were looking, how do we find the community? Once we moved back into our house, we said, we've got 2 weeks to find a church that we can belong to. And we went to this church and immediately it was like, this is it. This is home. It became our tree very, very quickly. But within a month or two, they came to us and said, would you begin a nest for young people, 20 years old and above, next gen people? So they're providing community for us. And at the same time, we're providing community for a need that they have. And it really works. It's a give and take. And when you are part of a community, it's easier to give community. But when you feel isolated, it almost feels like no one needs you. And so I think they work very much hand in hand.
Wow, thank you for that. Nikki says rhythms have been very helpful for me, especially knowing they can change and have seasons. I also love the passion part and am working through those still. My goals have really shifted this year, and I'm excited about that. And I think this is a perfect time for you, Nikki, because any of us who are in a time of transition, it's perfect to find your rhythms. I think also very valuable for me are rhythms and values. Many times I have high values, but I don't put actions to what I believe. I just believe them and I think about them a lot. But if I'm not putting actions into them, then I'm not giving a chance for those rhythms to invest in my life and to grow my Zoe life.
I just wanted to share a little bit from Nikki, because Nikki shared with us this week. Years ago, we were talking to Nikki about having a rhythm of having time with God every day. And I remember at the beginning, she was just a little girl and she was so focused. What day you on? And she would write it down and she would have her time with God. Big adventure. I remember celebrating her 30th day. I remember the celebration of 1 year.
And 5 years.
Yeah. And she kept letting us know. And then when she started having children, well, anyway, her oldest daughter, I have no idea how many years she's been going. She's passed it on. And her youngest son just recently went out on a date with the dad, celebrating that. Was it 1 year?
Yeah, Nikki, maybe you could fill us into the times.
Rhythms. And I just think, wow, it's, there are sometimes we raise up children or raise up a generation that they know about God, but they haven't had to study and find him. And the deep rhythms that really produce value is like this, where it is a consistent value. We say sometimes, well, I love God, but I don't have time in his word. I would say
that's a value and rhythm.
That would
together.
Be like saying, I love Suzie. I just don't want to live here anymore. It just doesn't make any sense. So
you do want to live here, right?
I do. Okay. I like living here.
Just checking. Yeah, Yoas says, unfortunately, I've not been able to go through all the modules. I just finished the exam period today. Bravo! You finished your exams. How did they go, Yoas? I'm wondering. So I can't say yet which one is the most, but I thought the module of landing your rhythms was way powerful. You'll get there, Yoas, and we want to hear about it when you do.
And someday when you're a doctor, I want you to speak to us about the rhythms that move your life forward.
And Lynn can understand and relate. Yes, it's okay if you're only partway through, and thank you for joining us. And Tammy says, rhythms is something that is easy to talk about to others in community. I'm doing this course with my ladies Bible study group. We did the first module 1 week, then shared and discussed it the next week. Last week, we did the second module, and Friday we'll discuss the rhythms. It's been so good to do this together in a community. Tammy, thank you for doing that. Tammy's going through the course herself, and then she's taking her ladies through it. And this is another way of where she's being eagled, and now she's eagling. This is like a two-way situation.
And let me just speak
That's
into
awesome, Tammy.
Where this course is going to go. When we originally launched it, we launched it at about maybe 50% done. We had no idea where it was all going to go. It's been building it in the sky, basically.
As we're flying.
We thought we would leave it open for 2 months and then shut it down and start it again next year. But there has been a lot of people saying, I won't be able to start it for 2 months or 3 months, or I'm doing it with my church, that we have decided we're just going to leave it open for all of 2020, maybe shut it down at the end of 2020 and bring out something else, but that you would be able to use it all during the year. But you have a 2 month window
once
you start. And that just is an automatic thing. Anyone who wants longer time, we can type in another date in there. If you ask us to, we're glad to do that for you, that you could actually have access all the time. But the way it's set up, you have 2 month access, and then just ask for it and we'll make it longer up until December 31st of 2020.
That's where we're at so far. Nikki's just clarified here. Evie, her oldest daughter, is 11, and she has over 1,000 days.
Woo-hoo.
So that's over 3 years so far. And Corbin is 8, and he just completed 1 year. And I think that's what that celebration was about. And you know that the parents of kids like this being involved in the life of their young one is instilling values that they have. And I know Nikki's been really very diligent in making that happen. So what an encouragement, and so exciting.
Those are rhythms. That will produce values, community, passion. It's all in line there.
Yeah. So back to passion for a moment. We just want to give the definition of passion here.
So passion, this is the Duzie definition. We looked at all these different definitions, and we really came up with this. It's when a human being uses their greatest strengths to accomplish their God-given desires. And you see how all this connects? We are human beings. We be. That's no matter where you are, you be there. But God has given us great strengths, and we use those great strengths to accomplish the deep desires. And we don't know
desires for others.
For others. Yeah. We don't know what that necessarily looks like. I know people have said, I have this desire for this, but maybe they never become the missionary. Maybe they never, but that desire brings them to a place that is even better for them.
Yeah.
And so we don't always know what that's going to look like, but that's the definition that we have written.
So we've come to this space, and passion includes these three areas: the being, the desire, and the strengths. And we want to put it out to you. We have the possibility of talking about all three of those just a little bit.
Because all of them make up your passion.
Are there any of those three parts in particular you'd like to hear about first? So you can just write in the chat, what would you like to hear about? Being, desire, or strength? We're just going to throw it out, give us some prompting thoughts, and then we're going to allow you and us to discuss about that a little bit. Which one hits you the most, or would you like to start on first?
This is your choice time. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun,
this is the
dun,
silence
dun,
moment?
Dun, dun, yes.
Okay, this is the silence moment. So we wait for you. We know there's a short leg.
Okay,
so
we've got desire.
Desire.
Good. Got another desire.
2 desires.
Couple desires there. We can strength. Good.
Strength. Great.
Good. So we've got a few there. Let's start
with
off
desire.
with desire,
Yeah,
and then we'll go to strength, and then we'll continue going there. Let's look at the slide, a couple of the slides first about desire, then we'll begin talking about it. So the desire is your God-given desire for others. And I think this is very crucial, because a lot of people say, I'm passionate about automobiles, or I'm passionate about flying, or I'm passionate. Those are great. They're all good, but they're probably not God-given desires. Your God-given desire will always be for others. So then you have to understand that within the whole desire, that's something that motivates us. We're motivated probably by a few different things, but definitely we're motivated by fear and desire. If your motivation comes from fear, it's more of, I'm going to avoid that, or I'm going to do the dishes because if I don't, I'll be in trouble. So you either avoid or you do it because of the fear factor. And oftentimes when it comes to fear, we don't show up. It's an obligation that doesn't draw us out. It doesn't give us momentum. But on the other side, desire, when it's something that you feel that this is God-given and it's in us, we overflow into others' lives. It's not a headache. It's not a pain. It's like breathing. When on the ship, you would always see these people coming back from their Connect days, and they would be telling stories, but they'd all be telling different stories. They'd be telling the stories that connected with their desire for others. Mm-hmm. Those are the stories we tell. So then it's the connection between desire. It's definitely connected to our nest, our eagle, our tree. We just have to see that those two are very much connected. And you want to make sure that, especially within the desire area, you have a nest of people that are going to encourage you in that desire. You have an eagle who probably has been there before. And if you're part of a tree, if you belong to a group, but that group is totally against your desire, they probably won't be able to support you very well. So you really need to make sure that those are in line with the desire God's given to you.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, your comments. And if there's anybody who would like to put their hand up and say, this is one of my desires. And also we would love for you to write down there your word or words. What are the desires that you particularly have for others? And as Dan said, as Dan said, it is our desire for others. It is a God-given desire. So when we're thinking about that, it's very important to conceptualize that. And maybe one of the ways to think about that, if you're not quite there yet in the course and you haven't identified that, when you feel fully alive, what is the impact on others? For me, it's potential. When I see the potential in other people and how I can connect myself to their potential to grow, to develop. And this is one of the reasons why in the course, it's so exciting for both Dan and I. We know that you have the potential to live life fully, and we want to partner with you to motivate and encourage and to resource you. If we're speaking eagle language, we want to feed you, we want to focus you, and we want to release you to fly in that space where God has you. So Kathy has one.
To encourage others. That's great. I don't know if I think I talked about this in the last one. They get muddled in my head a little bit. At our church, there's a guy called Frankie. Did I talk about it here or last
morning?
This morning.
So
Let me tell you about Frankie. Frankie's an African-American guy. He's one of the pastors in the church, and he has a heart for outreach. Not like just the typical evangelist that he would just go give people tracts or, pray with everyone as he goes down the street. He serves people, and we've been involved in a few of the outreaches into the community with him. Well, every month he does something down in inner city Atlanta where he goes and he loves on people who live on the street, people who have nothing. His desire, you can just see it. It bubbles out from Frankie. And on Sunday I was looking because there's a sign-up sheet to go downtown, and I just thought, I don't have that desire. When I drive past them, I feel bad for them, but my heart desire isn't there. And I thought, if I signed this sheet, if I go downtown with Frankie, I could get the bug. I mean, I could get
He's
this
going to eagle that impression
desire to walk with these people, to care for these people. Now, because of our schedule, I didn't sign up yet, but I guarantee you, and you can hold me for this, I'm going to go to the city one of these months with Frankie, because I believe that's something that my heart would really beat for, having grown up at the teen ranch where we had a lot of kids in our house that came from those kind of areas. I think in many ways it'd be like going back and spending time with my brothers. So That's, to me, sometimes we don't know what that desire is, talking about desire, but if you hang with people with that desire, it gets pretty contagious.
And I think that also speaks of what we're talking about with our fully alive Zoe life, being like light. So when we have that fully alive Zoe and we're showing up, ta-da, being the person that God made us to be, then it has influence to spread more light and to motivate and equip. Because we are pieces of God's puzzle. And when we live our Zoe life, our being and our strengths, but especially the output in desire for other people, then we're shining the light in that space. And that light brings light and dispels darkness in there. So I think that's a possibility. As we're living our desire, we're able to make that happen.
So Tammy has a friend with her there in Africa,
Etzel,
and she says that her words are understand and encourage others. That is a great desire from God.
That's awesome. And I'm sure you are an encouragement and an understanding person to Tammy when she's there as well. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us today. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Any other words you want to say or speak into the whole area of desire? It is a very large area. When we eventually launch the course, Duzie's Passionality Profile, which hopefully will be released in the next few weeks, we're going to go very in depth in this. Because I believe there's not enough of us who have spent the time examining if God has poured a desire into me. I need to, like gold, I need to dig down and find it and brush it off and say, that's it.
Yeah.
Because I think too many times we hear stories just of others and we say, well, that may be it. But it doesn't get us out of bed in the morning. It doesn't stir our heart. It doesn't cause us to weep. Yeah. And I think that's where, as we go through the next course on passionality, we will find some of those places. And it may not feel really good, but it will take us to a whole new level that we find real satisfaction in the living fully alive.
And also in the Passionality course coming soon, we also are going to talk about our anti-passion, what stops us from living fully alive in our passion, and how to create rhythms to go with it, to reinforce so we can live the way God made us to live.
We've always talked about anti-passion a little bit. We have developed a whole course section module on that area with models and everything. So, when Satan wants to come along to steal, kill, and destroy what's in you, there's a way to recognize that beforehand and to say no, rather than being caught up in it. If you see the tidal wave coming towards shore, you're going to back away. But if your back is towards it, you're never going to know when you get hit.
Yeah.
So the anti-passion is turn around, face the wave, and don't get wet.
So speaking of desire, I've got a poll I'm going to put up here. When we're thinking about your desire for others, here's the question. I am able to realize my desire for others, and you get 3 choices. Most of the time, sometimes, or rarely. So we'd love you to honestly put the poll in there so we can get the feel and know how to support you in that. Take your time in that. Most of the time, sometimes, or rarely.
That's good. Yeah, 50-50 split there.
Nice.
That's good. Because I think that's important. And this is not in any way to say, well, I'm failing or I'm doing well. This is not a report card time.
No.
It's just for you to be able to think, how am I doing in this area? How do I realize that? And am I realizing that? So these polls are really for you, but then together we can look and see what's the big picture as a result of this time.
Okay, more of you have voted, and at the moment we're 60% of sometimes and 40% of most of the time.
But even if it was rarely, it would be okay to say that.
Yep.
Because that's where you are. And it's really good in the midst of living life that we're honest with ourselves.
Yeah, that's great. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump over while you're still taking the poll.
Can we jump to
flow? Sure.
We were talking about the future. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to share a little bit.
That's great.
Because I would say that you who are watching are a little more of our stakeholders. You're the ones who are speaking into where we should be going. You're probably committing to it more than probably others are. We want to show you where we see us going in February. Probably sometime in the first week of February, we will launch Flow, and it's a 4-week mini course. It's not going to take nearly as much time as Relaunch Your Life, but we're going to focus in 4 very distinct areas that will give you flow.
So we just want to show you here quickly. This is where this Passion Week goes into flow. This embrace your passion. You've got 3 circles there, and the red circle is your being, and the yellow circle is your desire, and the green is your strength. And they come together and they overlap. They are not individually oriented. They actually make a great combination. But when they're moving towards the center where they link who you are and what you end up doing and the strengths that give you the power to make all that happen, that white space in the middle is what we call flow.
Now, this is what I love. Go back 1 second. This is what I love about old people. Old people who love Jesus. Our parents are this way, that they have lived their being for so long, and they have lived within their desire for so long, and they have used their strength for so long that white flow gets bigger and bigger because those 3 get closer and closer together. We're almost, it's like their very identity is within their being, people know them. They know their desire. They know their strength.
And they're operating in that.
Their phone rings because that's who they are. And this is what I love. When we start off, maybe that white part is really small. There's just a little bit of flow. But as we begin to live fully alive, we get closer and closer and closer. And maybe the desire starts growing a little bit. Maybe our being starts growing. But still, that flow grows.
And here's the picture of flow that we've identified. And we were just recently on a hike. What was the name of it?
Cochrane Mill.
Cochrane Mill. It's 17 minutes from here.
Come to us in Georgia. We'll take you on a hike at Cochrane Mill.
So in this Cochrane Mill, it's an old mill with lots of of waterfalls, multiple waterfalls. And the thing about it that just stood out to us so much in this time, once again, is that there's always an input into the body of water, and then it's going somewhere. It is not stagnant. It is not sitting there without movement. It is in the midst of movement, and there is a flow. And so this picture is our picture for flow and what's coming already in February.
So once you're in the process of going through relaunching your life, we don't want it just to drop. Okay, I relaunched. I mean, it'd be like the spaceship taking off. Oh, we relaunched. Well, there's more to do. There is momentum that you need to gain. You've relaunched, but where are you going? So flow, we're going to take that month and we're going to give your life momentum. And so let me just tell you very quickly what the F, L, O, and W stand for, because again, each one is very, very distinct. F is focus on the Father. Most of January, we focused on you. And that's great because God focuses on you. Mm-hmm. But if all we do is examine ourselves, we're going to miss the flow because we're going to watch ourselves going up and down. So the flow really is focusing on the Father. Maybe we can go back to the big screen, Suze.
Big screen? Yep. Okay.
Sure. And then there's the L. Do you want to tell them about the L?
Go ahead. You go through the whole thing.
So you have the focus on the Father, and then you have the lean into your shh. Be still and know that He is God. There is a trouble today, I think, in all of us, and I have one right here. It's this.
It's a lit rectangle in your
pocket.
It's a lit
rectangle, and it does not allow me, or it gives me a good excuse not to be still. If we're still, it will propel, it will give us momentum to live fully life. We're going to take a whole section on how to lean into shh.
A little bit more of your silence and solitude and spending time quiet and not distracted.
The O is observe your fear. And we're going to go a lot into fear. What does it mean? Let it not sneak up on you. We need to observe it. Yeah. I'm right by a window here. And if I look at my window, I'm going to turn this a little bit. I can see what's going on outside. We need to do the same thing with fear. We need to be able to see it, that it doesn't sneak up on us and take over. This is my microphone here. That isn't someone outside my door. And the last area, W, is walk in courageous imagination.
That's our theme for this year. Courageous imagination. Courage and imagination.
So originally it was going to be walk in something else, but the more we do this, we see this is vital for flow. So we're going to look at how to be courageous and how to allow God to use our imagination.
Our faith.
It's impossible to please God without imagination. This is what the Bible actually says. When it talks about faith, it's talking about imagination. The Bible is full of imagination.
Seeing what's coming.
God gave it for a reason, and that's so our life would flow. We'll get there. That's all of February.
All right. Thank you. And I'm just going to jump back to the chat a few minutes. Tammy said, I would say for me, encouragement, because there's something more that I am discovering with my directorship. I think it's more to empower others. And Tammy is my sister. And she is an amazing support person, and encouragement is one of her great gifts. I would just say yes, yes, yes to that. Lynn has a question. How do you know what your desires are? For example, I love to encourage and comfort others, but is that a God-given desire? Great question, Lynn. You want to talk to that, Dan?
Well, I think there are people in all different faiths that encourage others. I think that there's a part of the God heart in all humans to have that desire. I think there's desire many times with a parent for their children. But there is, I believe, in people who are trying to follow God and live life fully alive, they will see that there is something that disturbs them, maybe something that they see in the news. And I can't sit back and let this happen. You're in a school. Maybe you see someone bullied, and you're saying, "I'm going to go and I'm going to defend them." Now, another person may think that's wrong. That's too bad they're being bullied, but it won't disturb their soul. A desire disturbs your soul. It's something that's, I need to make sure this happens. And sometimes, especially with young people, you can't go and maybe help someone that's caught in the sex trade get freedom, re-education. You can't help a mother that is stuck with 4 children with no income at this point to start a micro business. But inside of you, there's something happening.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of young people who are now in university.
Things are moving,
and they're
you.
studying specific skills that they know when they're 24, 25, 26, whatever, they're going to begin something to take care of that. That's desire. And so I think it's just begin looking around, listen to the stories. There's some stories that are going to capture you, capture it back, grab it back.
Yeah. So Lynn, great question. And also when we're walking with Jesus, each of us have the puzzle piece. That's why the puzzle piece is so important for this Passion Week for us, because we have our part in God's big picture and we get to bring heaven on earth. And so those things that move you are the things that probably are your desire. Of all of the parts, being, desire, and strength, desire is probably the one that changes the most depending on your circumstances. The more I spend with ladies and I hear their heart and I hear their cry to know their identity for who they are and in Christ, especially young girls who are in the formation stage, my heart burns for them. And I know they have the potential to be a person that God made them to be. And so that's what burns in my heart. So the more I spend time with those people, that makes a difference. Yeah. When I'm in foreign countries and I'm with poor people and they don't have some of the physical things, but they have the incredible amount of community and love, that gives my desire a stronger emphasis for community and supporting people to be together. And I think that's part of our course as well. So the different things you're exposed to and what you're living in the midst of will also have an influence on your desire and God's heart in through you. As we're connected to God, He connects with us in personal ways. And so when you're walking with God and you're on that journey and that's your desire, you just ask God, is this desire from you? And what would you like me to do with that? And that can help be part of the process of confirming who you are.
There's a Jesus following author named Gabe Lyons. He's written a couple great books, and he says it this way: sometimes you find your passion, sometimes your passion finds you. They had a child who was born with Down syndrome, and he had never thought of it before, but now he leads a not just a nationwide, I think it's an international awareness campaign for parents who have a child who has Down syndrome. Before he started this, 85% of all Down syndrome children were aborted before they were born because doctors didn't know what to do. So they just encouraged the mother and father to get rid of them. Now that they are given this awareness, they have brought that number down. He didn't go looking for that passion. That passion came looking for him. Yeah. And he grabbed it and he walked in it. So that all has to do with desire. And Jonas, you want to look at strengths, but let's take a couple more of these first. We'll look at strength and then we'll just finish up with being.
Okay, so Kathy had to leave. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us. See you later. I think that we've got all the chats.
Okay.
Yeah. So we wanted to go with strength.
Let's go with strength for a moment.
Okay.
And then
sure. Let's pull up
Yoas said that,
a few pictures of the strengths. Thank you, Yoas, for voting for that. I forgot about that. Yeah. Strengths. Now, strengths are basically what I'm good at. When I think of strengths, I think of muscles. So you have strength in your muscles, but we also have to build our strengths. What are we good at? Usually this is a natural capacity, a natural tendency that we're good at, that we get to pour into and build on our strengths. I also like to think of strengths as talents. Jesus gave a parable about the talents. There was one talent and a few talents and a lot of talents. And the one with one talent buried his talent or strength, and he didn't use it. He didn't use that muscle. And Jesus was not so happy with that. He said, you should have. And he took that talent and he gave it to another who was good at learning how to use the strengths. And I think that's just a reminder to us. We might have some capacity for strength, but it might be like weightlifting or exercise, or you get into the groove or the rhythms of some of these things and you build these strengths. It's very important to exhibit our strengths, that those strengths are not to be hidden away like the talent in the parable, but we're supposed to bring them. And it's a good partnership with our being. And we use our strengths to go towards the desires for others that God has given us. And when we put these three concepts together, my being, my desire, and my strengths, then that kind of gives us a bigger picture of our passion. Because it's these three parts, as we saw earlier, the three circles coming together to find our flow where our passion gets to be used for God. And I choose to embrace my passion. This is what we're talking about from Acts 17, verse 28. And it says, in him we live and move and have our being. And Lynn, I was just speaking to you from this perspective here. As we're living and moving and having our being in him, then these passions and these strengths and these desire for others are going in sync with God. And thumbs up. And we've got that puzzle piece that's going through. We've got a few pictures that are giving us an example there of what they can look like.
Now, let me show you something as well when it comes to strength. I'm going to just turn my computer here for a moment. On the wall, you're going to see, you see this here? There's one. There's two.
There's three canvases.
There's three canvases right there on our wall. I want you to notice.
These are my drinks.
There's nothing on them. One of our strengths is creativity. And we've been wanting to paint for a long time on the wall. And we even bought those and had them in a closet. And if we're going to paint those, we better hang them up. And we want to look at them and see what needs to be painted. And it's the same way with our strengths. They're there. We need to acknowledge that they're there and then begin to say, what could that look like? In creativity for me, I love being creative, but I notice sometimes, wow, I haven't drawn, I haven't written a poem, I haven't done any of these things. So it's like when I'm not doing anything, like recently, I'm not doing anything to build my muscles, they go flabby. And it's the same way, I think, with our strengths. And so when we need our strengths to accomplish the desires, they're not ready. So we need to be constantly building those strengths, because those help us, those connect with us, our being, to accomplish those desires.
So what about you? If you don't mind, go put down in that chat, what are some of your strengths that God has given you? One of mine is connections. So I'm going to put mine right in there so you can see. My strength is to connect people together. As I get involved in their life, then I get right in there and I connect people to each other. I connect people to resources. I connect people to other people, or some kind of a Bible study or a verse, which thank you, Lynn, for your message. You were like, okay, I was able to connect that verse and that concept to you, like, what about desire? So thank you so much for that question.
When you look at those two from Suzie and I, why we so enjoy making this course and doing this Tuesday is because it is tapping into strengthening our creativity, strengthening our connections.
That's right. Yoaz has a strength of comforting others. We have seen you at work doing that.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Lynn. Lynn, what's your strengths? What are some of your strengths? Nikki, what are some of your strengths? Who else is on? Tammy. Ezel, Etzel, if you're there too, if you don't mind saying what yours is.
Just love to look
We'd love to hear some of yours.
Because it's not just good for us, it's good for the community to see we are so different. There is no Christian communism. We don't all have to be the same. God created us different, but we all need to work at those things that we're all ready to accomplish the things that God's bringing to us.
And it's also it also just gives glory to God because it's him who gives us these strengths. Lynn says, as for strengths, perhaps being able to relate to a lot of different types of people. Yes, you're a third culture kid, so that is a blessing that you have. And Tammy says, oh, Etzel is strong in hospitality and cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Taking care of other people's needs. That's amazing.
Hey, Tammy, maybe this would be the year, 2020, that we can come to Guinea.
Oh, that would be a dream.
That would be, I was thinking cooking. We've got some time. Maybe we'll make that happen this year.
Lynn gives a thumbs up to Yoaz and knows Yoaz has a great talent for comforting others as well. That's great. Nikki says, here we go. I like to help people learn things like photography. Nikki is an amazing teacher. She's able to take complex things like dance, photography, adoption, life, and break it down into very simple pieces and help people understand it. You do have that strength, Nikki. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, let's see. Let's see who says. Tammy says her strengths are patience and kindness. Yes, it's very true.
Very true.
Tammy says,
Tammy, you're one of the most patient people I've ever met in my life.
It's true. Go, girl. Tammy says, since we've started this course, everyone is wondering why you haven't gotten here yet. Get on over here.
Love to.
Okay, let's pray about that and see how that can happen.
Love to. It's very interesting right now.
She's screaming at us, get on over here. Okay, let's do it.
It's very interesting right now in our life because we have now been in the house for 2 months. We have not been in one place for 2 months.
We did go Christmas to Seattle, so not for a whole 2 months.
Oh, yeah. A month we've been here. I don't know the last time we were even one place for a month. I simply don't have any recollection of that. And there's not a whole lot of places we're going to in the next few months. So I keep thinking, what are we doing? So
I know what we're doing. We're creating a lot and we're learning a lot. We just counted yesterday.
We could create in Africa.
That's right. We have learned in this last month 5 new platforms in order to launch the course. It's the place where the course is held. It's also this webinar.
Thinkific.
Yeah.
Webinar Jam.
And then there's also an email. When you get emails, it comes from something ConvertKit. Then there's something called ScreenFlow.
That's where we make our movies. And then there's also Video Scribe, which is if you see those cartoony things, those whiteboard things. I'm learning that all over again.
So we've learned 5 new areas. So we're in
we have 2 more to go.
Yeah. So coming soon, we think our podcast, because we are getting a lot of requests for that. And we're getting our website up again, Duzie.com, so that we can do our blogs that go together with this. And we also have had a request, and we're looking into the possibility of taking this course, Relaunch Your Life, but probably more of a title, Zoe Life, and put it into a book form that people can buy and use as a workbook, use as a small group discussion book. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on that if you have any thoughts about that. But very exciting thing. So it's not like we're doing nothing. We're really, we're over the top.
It's much easier to fly every week. It actually is.
It's been very, very intense. Just want to pull up the bean and hit on bean just very quickly here. Just don't want to leave any of these 3 parts out. When we think of being, I love this picture because being is who you are. And the person jumping in this picture signifies being to me really well. It's not where I was and it's not where I'm going to be. It is where I am currently.
But being is also where you were. And being also is where you will be.
And I love this picture of being because it shows action. Remember how we showed that picture of the flow where the water is flowing? This is an action picture right here, that it is a person in the flow of what's going on. And maybe a better question is, who am I becoming, like Dan was talking about? Tell us about this.
Well, let's say in this picture, you see your being. That pinpoint is basically
where I am.
You are here.
GPS.
Now, that is where you are, and you may be happy about where you're at, or you may not be happy about where you're at, but that is where your being is right now. But if you zoom ahead into the future, your being will change. Life around you, circumstances, fulfilling your desires, growing your strength, your being will change. You still will be you, but your being will be different. That arrow between where you are right now and where you will be eventually is the process of becoming.
I love this.
Too often we focus on the destination. This is where I want to be. Let me tell you, from a person who's 56 years old, you'll never be there. You'll always be becoming, because that's the process. You will be when you be no more. That's it. That's as far as you go. So you need to focus not on what is the destination, but what's the journey.
Yeah.
And today is part of that.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing something that you think makes no difference whatsoever, it's part of your becoming. So don't right away those things. Well, today all I'm doing is I'm just babysitting today. That's part of your being.
It's the developing as well. And the being is who God created you to be. And I love that. I love that picture of the becoming of the I'm here and I'm going to be there. And that is the picture of our future self and those statements that we have for each of those future statements as well, because it's a process of becoming.
So we want to do a being poll as well. It's similar.
A being poll.
A being poll. It's similar to the desire one we took. But finish the sentence. I am fully alive in my being.
Most of the time, sometimes, or rarely.
Please take that. That will be good for you.
Did we do the one on strengths?
I don't know if we did the one on strengths.
Okay, we'll do that one in a minute.
So this has to do with your being. And so you would say, I am alive in my being most of the time, sometimes, or rarely.
And again, if you continue to have any questions or comments or emotional outbursts, just put those right there in the chat, and we would love to get to those shortly. So far, we've got 67% said sometimes, and 33% said most of the time in your being.
Okay, now we're 50-50.
50-50 for most of the time, and sometimes it's also okay to say rarely, because sometimes that is the real picture.
And sometimes at the phase you're in life, it's a rarely. When we were on the ship, it probably wasn't the best fit for us. And there were many, many days where I simply felt I cannot be alive here. And that was a phase we went through. But that phase opened up a door for me to begin studying something that was called Zoe.
And here we are.
This. So sometimes that rare moment is the gold that's refined into the being in the future.
Okay, so thank you for doing that poll. We want to just put that poll up now for strengths. Same basic questions. How am I living in my strengths? Am I living in my strengths most of the time, sometimes, or rarely? We'd love to hear from you.
As we've just crossed over the hour mark, an hour, 3 minutes.
And we're just going to wind down here in a couple minutes and give you opportunities. We'll be glad to stay on for a while longer if you have questions, comments, if anybody wants to put their hand up and come into a video chat with us. If you are on a computer, that is possible there. All right, so far we've got 100% says sometimes. And this morning in our webinar,
sometimes.
This morning in our webinar, we had sometimes and rarely for the strength. That probably got the poll the lowest, because one thing, we don't always know what our strengths are, but another, we haven't learned how to use those muscles and use those strengths, those abilities, those gifts God has given us. So thank you for taking that poll. We appreciate that so much for you to do that. Tammy says, we love the idea of a book on Zoe life.
You know, I have done
Let's chat about that.
I've done so much writing on this subject. in the process, I had to get a new computer. So I have some of my Zoe writings on my old computer, some on my new computer, some on my iPad, some in my journal, some on my phone. I keep finding all these writings over the last year. And I'm like, wow, if I just put those together. And then we have Katie, who joined us on the earlier webinar. She's an editor. She said, just send me the stuff. I'll edit it.
I would love to help you make that book a reality.
So I think it's coming. I think that it's closer than we think.
Oh, that's great. I'm just going to take a quick picture of where we're at here because this is a great.
Now that's right in front of your faces. There we go.
I'm not very good at this. You're better at it, right?
It's her desire, but it's not her strength. Let's just say that.
I got to practice using those muscles.
How did it come out? I'm just interested in it.
I don't know. I took a second one.
What did we take a picture of?
You want to take one just in case to make sure? Okay.
See, this is why you can go this side.
Ah.
There we go.
That's great.
Make life easier.
Thank you, Lynn, for laughing. Yeah.
This
is our reality of life right here.
We need our photographer, Nikki, here to take the good pictures.
And to show us and teach us how to take great picture. I need to see you, Nikki girl. That would be so good. Yeah, so are there any other things that you would like to discuss, that you would like to process here together with us? The floor is yours. We finished. Any
other questions either? Yoaz, I know you had some things about the strengths. If you have any other questions, we can.
You want us to say more about, you can do that. The basics of what we wanted to talk about here in embracing your passion. We've mainly covered that, but we really are here to talk about to let you fly. What is it going to take for you to fly a little stronger in your strengths? Mm-hmm. What is it going to take for you to be released, to have that focus?
Oh, someone's got their hand up.
All right. Lynn says you guys take amazing pictures, though. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Nikki.
Let's see if Nikki comes in.
Okay, Nikki. We have accepted you. You're probably going to have to go through a few different screens to test your audio and your video, and we will wait for you. That's awesome.
We have to have earphones in for this.
All right. Meanwhile, if there's any other questions or comments that we want to talk about while we wait a minute
also,
for her
when
to
Nikki's
get
coming on, I want to show you this. This is a rare find for me. There is a guy, and his signature is here. But he took this bottle with this top, and he put this deck of cards in there. Now, the way he did it, he had to put the card deck in first, and the plastic was on it. But he had to open it up, and then card by card, he had to put them in, and he put them in order, and then he sealed it and actually put it is unbelievable. This is impossible.
Ripley's Believe It or Not.
This is totally impossible. And I think sometimes when we look at passion, we think, well, it's totally impossible. I think for you to live your passion is easier than putting a deck of cards in a sealed container.
That's true.
So I have this actually sitting on my desk oftentimes. When I say this is going to be impossible or this is going to be hard, think of the guy who spent hours, literally hours,
or
putting
days.
That in here. I've met the guy. It's incredible.
Lynn says that guy definitely knows his strengths.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Wait, we've got a hand up again. Okay. It looks like Nikki couldn't do it. Nikki, you just keep trying, keep going through the process. We'll try to get you in again.
All right.
Yeah. This morning we had that same thing. They had to go through twice to come in.
If you're ever coming through, there are a few different walls you have to get through. You have to test your I think sound 3 times. You have to test your video 3 times, and you just have to keep pressing through. And sometimes it just kicks you out. I don't know why.
She was persistent. She came back on again.
It's good.
That's great.
It's your strength.
Yeah. Let's see. Did we ask you already about your strengths? Some of you said your strengths. We did ask you that. Yep. Strengths, patience, weakness, comforting.
Or the word for your being.
Cooking.
Did we ask the word for being?
Did we ask your word for your being? We'd love to know your word for being.
Put mine in there. My being word.
Type that in while we're waiting for Nikki to come through and have a video chat with us all. Okay. And mine. Yeah, if you know your word. Whoops, excuse me. We got chords going here, don't we?
Yeah, I'm not used to having we realized we didn't have to wear the earphones unless we're listening to someone else. So last week I kept getting my hand caught in this, so we're not focused on it. What's Tammy saying there?
Talk about helping others, like your children find their Zoe. Do they have to go through this course? Wow, great question.
Yeah, I'm not sure how young or how old you need to be to go through the course. I know a lot of the self-discovery that people are making is a result of experiences they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, a person who's young are not able to process because they don't have enough experiences to rely on. And I think I would love to explore what it means to help your children have Zoe. I think that's a book totally in its own.
It's a good one.
Because I think it happens around the table. It happens when you're in the garden. It happens all the time. Because first of all, they have to understand that that's what God desires for them. Because a lot of people, they present to their children, you need to come to know Jesus to go to heaven, which is great. But Jesus never talked about that. Jesus says, I have come that you may have life here and now. And so I think some of our very definitions for what it means to be a follower of Jesus, it starts around the table talking about how do we fulfill why Jesus came? How do we live fully alive? And then as a family, we look at values. I remember as a very young child, Suzie as well, having devotions in the home, going at least once a month to the old folks' home and singing. Those are values that were supported by rhythms. Back in the day, we were in church at least 3, maybe 4 times a week. That was our community. And after the church, we went out to eat together. And then the passions, they all build upon each other. I think one of the most difficult thing as a child especially is to figure out what the passion is. That takes a little more time. But as a parent, it's sort of like fishing. We throw out the bait and we sort of say, is this going to catch? We introduce them to people. We take them to part of ministry or part of an experience and see what it does in their soul.
And also feedback would be a big piece of that as well as a parent. So as you notice your young person being good at something, you speak that out and you encourage them in that. And when they have experiences, you say, what about that really moved your heart, or did you feel? And that might be a way towards desire. Like, what did you notice about that situation or that place? And what was God saying to you? Or what did God impress on you to do if your children are following Jesus? Nikki said she can't figure it out and said she needs to switch to
I heard
Chrome.
someone else earlier say they had to be on Chrome to use it. So
yeah,
we'll check more.
We're going to check that out. Sorry, Nikki. We can connect with you in a little bit. Is there something that you wanted to say about that? There's another hand.
There's one from Yoas before I go on.
Uh-huh.
Do I hit that one?
Okay. Oh, Yoas. Yeah, just 1 second. Okay, Nikki's going to try again, looks like. Go for it, Nikki. Yoas says, I do have one request. I would really appreciate if you could pray for me as I'll have the entrance exam for medicine in 1 month and a day. I really feel like this is my purpose and have the desire one day to go back to Yemen and spread life as a doctor. Oh, yeah. Do you want to just pray for Yoas right now?
Jesus, thank you for Yoas. And this is something I've been praying about. We're going to pray now and we'll pray into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, there are people in Yemen that will need what he is going to spend years of his life learning. And Lord, there are some doors that need to get open.
Yeah.
Give him great wisdom to know how to take the tests, how to meet the right people, how to move forward, choices that he's going to make, roommates, new communities he's going to get involved in.
Yeah.
Lord, I pray that you would guide him along that journey. Most of all, right now, I just feel, I pray peace over him, that he will not be anxious about anything, but in everything with prayer, petition, thanksgiving, he'll present the requests to God, and the God of peace will guard his heart and mind in Christ Jesus. I pray that over Yoas right now. May he live fully alive, even in the moments of taking these exams. May you go there. You've already seen past the exam.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the future. And I pray that you draw him forward in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for letting us pray for you, and thank you for coming on, Yoaz, as well in your crazy busy time. And congratulations on finishing your exams, and now you got to take the next step. There'll be lots and lots and lots and lots of tests, I do believe. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Lynn
you.
says amen. That's
We're
great.
still waiting for Nikki, but I don't know if that's going to work out or not.
Yeah, and again, Tammy, I want to jump on the bandwagon.
The bandwagon.
The bandwagon, like keep singing that song, because I think not just us as parents speaking that into our children and helping our children find Zoe life, but we who are finding Zoe life and we who are in the midst of it ourselves as well can speak life into other people. And we say, wow, you are so good at that. Because many times we have what's called blind spots. We can't see that about ourselves. I have become aware that I talk a lot and that I'm not so good at time orientation. And that's because Dan gives me feedback. And that helps me be a little bit better at listening and a little bit better at giving space for others to do that. And I think those kind of things are very important when we know and we see other people and we're doing life with them in the nest or the tree, that it's a possibility for us to speak it out so much and to help other people do it.
I think Nikki is on.
It looks like Nikki is on. Turn on,
Nikki, turn on your
sound and your video.
There she is.
Hey! Okay, we see you now.
Microphone on.
There you go. You made it.
Oh, wow, I did it. Awesome.
Bravo. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yay, there's a second screen. This is my Nikki girl, and we have known each other now. What is our years? You're so good at numbers.
13, like 24 years?
I think we said 24 years. When we first came back from Poland after 7.5 years, there were two people in our youth group, and it was Nikki and Kurt.
I think they were 7th grade and 8th grade. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So Nikki was 7th grade and Kurt was 8th grade, and we started a breakfast club, and the big adventures and every idea went on Nikki and Kurt.
And eventually Kurt and Nikki got married. It's a great story.
We've been married 15 years now.
That's awesome. So speak to us, Nikki. What are you thinking about? What do you want to ask or share, or what's going on there?
Okay, so I love how all of this is lined up with some things that have been happening in my life in the last month. So I just thought it's like kind of a cool example of how it can all go together.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, like in my photography business a year ago, I had all these goals and I thought I knew what I wanted. But as my year went on, I realized like they weren't going to work. And really, now I hear this, I just don't think they lined up with my values, especially with my family, because it would have required a lot of work that, I just wouldn't have been able to spend enough time with my kids and being at home and things like that. So it was a very frustrating year because I felt like I was being pulled in two directions. And I'm like, this is like my desire that I thought, but it didn't align with my values, and my rhythms were like all messed up.
Oh yeah.
So this year, like my goal was just to kind of like go back to the basics, figure out what's most important, figure out like what are my real goals, what do I really want. And I found that I actually enjoy teaching photography as much as I enjoy photographing clients. And because I don't have to then edit pictures after I teach a workshop, it's kind of even better. So I started the process to become certified, and it actually kind of is happening fast. And then I also had an opportunity to apply to teach a workshop this year. So I'm in the process of that. And as I'm working on this workshop structure, I'm finding like other groups who want to learn the same thing. And I also started, I guess, kind of accidentally mentoring now 4 other new photographers.
Wow.
Like last month, 4 people have come to me and they're like, I'm just having a conversation with them and they're like, oh my goodness, can we get together? Can you help me learn this and learn that and share this and that? I'm like, yeah, I love doing that. So I just feel like it's kind of awesome that I think I'm going to have a lot of opportunities to do things I'm passionate about with photography and also to be helping people. So I don't know, like I was just really excited to kind of see that all like falling into place. And I feel like your flow circles, when you were talking about those, I'm like, like my wife, because I'm in the right spot. So it's exciting.
That's great.
Nikki, let me tell you, this week I met with a guy and his speciality is helping normal people become friends with the Muslims in their area. And many times we're afraid of that. And he has this very natural approach. He's done a full course on how to do that. And I just said to him, would you like us to put your course on, Duzie courses that many people could learn from it? And he was like, oh, that would be great. And I think the things that you're talking about, I think there's a lot of us that have something burning there. And whether it's live, just you talking to those four, or putting it online with us, or having your own online, the opportunities
the
today,
world.
You don't have to open your own brick and mortar school. You produce something, or you have something, and people want it. One of the people who coaches us in doing this says, teach everything you know, because somebody out there needs it. And so that is a thrill to hear that.
And I think, Nikki, the other thing with that story, it's been so fun to hear it developing and know your backstories to all this. Wow, it's like it's just blowing open. You've been working so hard to get stuff going. And I see this picture of you growing a new community tree, like we were just talking about, your new net. And you've got these four now photographers in your nest with you. And you're eagling them, and the doors are opening wide for you to also fly to other community trees with these workshop possibilities. And it is such a beautiful example of how when you come in line with your values and you put those rhythms, wow, what a great story.
Yeah.
And so exciting.
And a couple of days ago, I also talked to the president and vice president of Professional Photographers of Michigan. And they want me to serve on the board. They're nominating me next month.
Wow.
So in March, I'll start that process of serving on the board, which is awesome because their group meets every month for workshops. And then they have like a big print competition every year. And I got really into it last year, and I was so excited because the group, they're friendly and they're all about helping grow other photographers' skills and businesses, which is exactly what I want to do. So I was like,
wow.
They're looking for more volunteers and stuff. I'm like, I'm interested. Let me know what's involved. And they're like, oh, we're nominating you. So I'm so excited. I'm going to be on their board this year as well and have more opportunities then to help people. So yeah, it's kind of awesome how I feel like last year I was striving and not getting anywhere. And this year I'm not striving and I'm going places. So.
And isn't that cool when you are aligned with how God made you and the timing, and he's just releasing it out. I celebrate that.
And
that's
I think,
amazing.
Nikki, that when I look back on our life, so much has been God gives us a dream of something that we're not going to get there, but he gives us that dream so we'll step out and find out that he wants us over there.
Right.
And so, and it's just those dreams that it's like, I'm going to follow that. Yeah. But you look at Joseph in the Bible, he had a dream, but he didn't see it for another 17 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, here's the dream, but you got to go around and up and over.
Yeah.
And I just say, keep following it. See where this goes. Your influence will grow as you move into these areas. So well done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I want to pray for you in that. Jesus, thank you so much for opening wide these doors for Nikki. She's been searching and dreaming and really working so hard. And God, thank you for just these open doors and for these divine appointments, for these connections, for this invitation to be on a board, making a difference in how you've actually wired her passion, her being and her desire and her strength. Such a story of encouragement for us to see it being lived out in such a real way. And she's right in the middle of it. So Jesus, keep her in step with you. Keep her lined up in those spaces that continue to give her the values for her passion and her desire and allows her being to blossom and to flourish. And we continue to give you praise and glory for Nikki, for her life, for her marriage, for her family, for her business, and for this blowing out of the Zoe life that you're giving her opportunity for. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for trying 3 times to get on. That's so good.
No, I know.
For anybody on how to do it better to get
Definitely be on Chrome and have a headset ready. I tried to get my wireless one to connect and I couldn't get it to connect, so I went and plugged in. That was better, which might have just been because I've never put my wireless on this laptop, so I can't figure that out. But anyway, yeah, Chrome seemed to be the main thing.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much for coming on. I'd love for you to write the story out. That's such a good one.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.
Love you. Bye.
Love you too.
That's great. Is there anybody else who has some comments? That's such a story for Nikki. And we would love to hear all of your stories as well. If you could write them out, if you can send us videos or messages.
We're at 1:25, so we're going to end pretty soon. But if you got something, type it in. We'll stay with you till there's nothing more.
Till there's nothing more. Yeah. So we hit all of our slides that we wanted to do, didn't we?
I think we did.
That's great. Is there anybody else who has something going? And I'm so excited, Nikki. She tried
living in a no time zone here.
Yeah, she tried so hard and she was able to finally get on. That's awesome.
So if there's nothing else, we will close here. We'll wait just a few more minutes, but if there's any other comments,
questions, something you want to talk about a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us, those who have been with us live and those who have watched the replay. We so appreciate you doing this journey with us. And this is the last Q's Day of our Module 5, but we'll continue to have Q's Day. Yes, Lynn, we have time for a question. Go for it. We will continue with our Q's Day again next week.
The time may change. We're trying to find when's the best for everybody. If you haven't let us know yet what day and what time, please leave it right here because we're trying to find the best time. 3 times in one day is pretty heavy, but we're willing to do it if it's going to reach more people. Today we're just doing it twice because the last couple of times there really hasn't been anyone at the
we
latest.
Have a guest, Megan, from England, and she's got a gang coming over for dinner, so the time didn't work for us either. And also continue to watch your emails because we're going to send information on when Flow is going to open. We're not sure if we're going to give it a week break for other people to catch up. But we'll continue to have Q's Days talking about Zoe life and getting ready for Flow.
Yeah.
And that will also give us a chance to get our Passionality profile course ready, and another one that's coming soon, How to Live Creatively.
A couple answers for Tammy. Yes, we will continue it. This is something we love to do. It's been great feedback. The other thing is if you don't have a camera on your computer, but you do have a microphone, you can just come in and talk.
Right.
So we can hit that if you have a mic audio only.
Yeah.
So that's also a possibility for the future.
Yes, we plan to continue Q's Days every week, but we're trying to find the time. We just picked Tuesday. Research said that Tuesday at 2:00 our local time is the best time, and it seems to be generally the best time for people to come. But again, we want to hit those people who are available and willing to do it. And so if you can just type or write in any way on social media or to us directly, what day is best for you and what time or what, like between this hour and this hour would be good for you.
Okay, Tammy, I'm gonna open up so you can come in.
Tammy's
audio,
gonna try to come in.
And while we're doing that, we're gonna see what the question is from Lynn.
Lynn says, I had a question concerning rhythms. I'm having trouble landing my rhythms because my schedule varies a lot with school, violins, sports, homework, church, etc. Do you have any advice on how to land rhythms in a busy schedule? How frequent do rhythms need to occur? Lynn, that's an awesome question. Rhythms can be daily. They can be hourly. I just heard a a training from Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she is the expert on mind and controlling your mind. And she says that we should have an every 10-second rhythm to check what our thoughts are. So there can be thoughts every second, every minute.
I don't get that.
Every time when you think of it. You can also have weekly rhythms like going to church or
God invented
fellowship.
Seasons and then yearly festivals the
Months.
Jews had. So it could be very, very short distance in between, but Christmas is a yearly rhythm.
Sure.
So they can be many things, and it could be connected to time, or it could be connected to, like for me, I don't have a time of day where I do my time with God, but I know I'm going to do it before I go to bed every day.
That's a rhythm.
So that's the rhythm.
But it's
So
not
it could be different for, you may say, okay, something I do every day is I practice my violin. So immediately following violin, I'm going to, and so you connect it to something else you're already doing.
I have a rhythm that every time I use the toilet, this might be too much personal information, I try to do a check-in with God. How's my time with God? God, how am I doing? And listening to you. So I've connected some of my rhythms to things that I do. There's other things I do while I brush my teeth, at least in the morning and at night. There's other things that I do when I make my hot drink for the morning, my coffee or my tea.
My dad used to have a truck, and it had a metal ceiling, and he put all these magnets on, and verses were hanging down because when he drove, he memorized scripture. So he wasn't looking like this, but he would look up and he would drive and he'd be memorized and look up. So he couldn't be staring at it. So it became just a rhythm for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So another thing that
I love that. Nikki says it's the throne room for Suzie.
The throne. I like that. I do like. I was like, what are you talking about? Because we have a throne room at Teen Street. That's worship time. I'm like, what are we talking about?
The porcelain place.
I love that. That's great. One of the many of the studies that we've seen talks about how you start your morning. That is one of your most dynamic rhythm times, and how you go to bed at night. Those two areas really influence your life, especially your Zoe life. So I am trying to even though like on some days when I have a very, very early schedule, I can't have as much time to do all the rhythms I'd like to do in the morning, but I try to do some of the most important ones. And what do I do before I go to bed at night? I'm trying to have an earlier wind down time so I can have more quality sleep.
I'm trying to shut this off at 9:00 every day. I have not been successful very well. But
you're still trying.
I am trying.
Yep.
Because I think my life will be better if this is shut off at 9:00. So it's just something I'm working towards.
Yeah. So Lynn says, seems like rhythms come in all shapes, sizes, and times. It's also problematic or not constructive if I don't practice one rhythm per day. Yeah, it's up to you. I had a season where I had Monday rhythms and Tuesday rhythms. Because I had too many goals that I was trying to do, too many creative rhythms, and I was trying to fit them all in one day. And so then I said, I want to do one of these creative activities every day, maybe art, maybe extensive journaling, maybe my poise. I was working on hula hoops, so I chose one of all these things and made that a rhythm.
When we launched the course and over all of this January, there have been a lot of rhythms in my life. I simply had to say, I can't do them right now. And
they paused.
It's been hard. I mean, the things I've done for years, but I've said during this intensive time of launching this course, I have to set those aside. And one of them is coaching people. So I used to be on the phone coaching people, quite a bit. I haven't done any of that in all of January, which has been a little strange. But today I just got my first one back. We're starting in February. And so that's good. So sometimes the seasons are very important. I think the most important part is don't beat yourself up for not accomplishing a rhythm. You need to focus in on the successes. Don't even worry about the failures. If you tried 3 days and you were successful once, celebrate that. I have not yet succeeded shutting this off at 9:00. It's still a goal. I could very easily say, I'm a failure. Don't go there because that will stop you. I'm going to try again tonight. Every day there's a new start to try that rhythm.
Okay,
So
Tammy's
that's what I'm
going to
gonna
try to
do.
get on again. It looks like there's a learning curve to get on. So thank you, Tammy, for trying to get on still. That's awesome.
But I think that's where Satan wants to crush us, especially in the whole rhythms area. I don't think he comes as much against the values. Maybe when you get in a new community, they have new values. There may be some push there, but he wants us to fail at the rhythms, because the rhythms keep everything else going. It's the gas in the tank. One time in Europe, I put benzene in a diesel tank.
Uh-oh.
It didn't work well.
Not recommended.
That's what I think Satan wants us to do in our life is to just stop. And we have to keep going. We have to count. I did succeed once this week, and live in forward motion. Especially it's hard for people who maybe, like they had their big adventure, their time with God for a whole year, and then they missed one. It's like, oh, I'm a failure.
But you did a whole year.
No, you succeeded 365 times. Celebrate that. And then start again. Or stop it and do something else that God may be leading you into. There's not just one thing forever. There are so many rhythms that we can choose to grow in.
Yeah.
So wait a few more minutes for Tammy to come on.
I think she got kicked out and she's trying again like Nikki. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for those questions,
I have to
Lynn,
reconnect
about rhythms.
my connectors.
Any other questions, stories, issues that you're going through? Because that's awesome how you guys have brought these things up. It helps us to have discussions that really benefit other people. Tammy says, I think it might be waiting for you.
I see no wait.
We don't see you in that space yet. Sorry, Tammy. It pops up when it's ready. Sometimes it's a little bit of a waiting period, a little lag. Lynn says, yeah, because I do quite frequently beat myself up for not doing something that makes me fully alive every day. So that's very helpful advice. Yeah, don't beat yourself up. You need to be a whole person. And I think sometimes, at least definitely in my case, she's going to try again, huh? I think definitely in my case, my expectations are too high and I can't possibly do everything that I'm expecting to do in a day or a week.
Let me also speak about perfection. This is really important. Jesus does not expect you to be perfect. And I've said this before. I said it, I think, in the course, but understand this. When creation happened and God said, this is good. This is good. This is good. On the sixth day, this is very good. He never said this is perfect. Matter of fact, there's only one place in Scripture where he says, be perfect as your Father is perfect. And the reference there is be perfect in love. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the thing that's going to stop us is the need we have to be perfect. And I just have to tell you, that's what heaven's for. Mm-hmm. You are not going to be perfect. Don't even strive for it. Strive for things like, I want to do this in an excellent way. I'm going to do this so it's very good. I want to do this so it benefits people. I want to try again. Mm-hmm. But perfection cannot happen. Maybe in the Olympics, they get straight 10s, but it is so incredibly rare. I don't think God expects that of anybody. That's why there's grace. And it's not cheap grace, but get up again, run again. If you fell down in the race, there's another race. And so just keep moving forward. And we don't have to win the race. We just have to run it. And so be kind to yourself. Be hopefully as kind to yourself as Jesus is to us.
And as kind as you are to other people. Most of us are more kind to other people than we are to ourselves. And I also love, just a piggyback on what Dan just said to you, Lynn. Nikki was talking about, she's been striving to find her place. And it was when she was able to find that flow of being. And it doesn't come immediately to find the best rhythms for us. And I think that's why the course has been so beneficial for us as well, to be reminded of of all of those areas that are interconnected and that really allow us to find ourselves in our Zoe life. And it will take time and it will take circumstances, and you are in transition to a new place and you're trying to learn the culture as well as find your new rhythms. And so you've got a few things going there, Lynn. But thank you for bringing that up and allowing us to speak to that.
I don't think we're going to get Tammy on. I'm sorry.
She's been trying, but it hasn't been working for her.
Yeah. Well, let me bless you all who are still here. Tammy pops on. That's great. But be blessed this week. Take time to be.
Yes.
You're not a human doing. You're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Take time to be. Focus on what around me. Is there something that I can put my strength towards?
Mm-hmm.
And look a little bit for an area that you can make a difference. That's a desire. Walk in that way and be blessed in that. That's what God desires. That's why he created you. One day at a time, step forward.
So it's been a joy to be with you and hang out with you. And the Q's Day will happen next week. At the moment, we're planning Tuesday. But if we hear from other people that it's a different day, then we will let you know. But thank you again for joining us for Relaunch Your Life, Embrace Your Passion Q's Day.